If you've reached the right of the landing, please continue on to episode 6.
So we're still at the landing, but if you kind of head a little bit towards the right, I'm just going to provide some more explanations of what you're looking at along the industrial skyline. There's a strange looking boxy structure, and you can almost see it immediately off of the dock that's like right in front of you across the water. And that boxy structure, it has, we people refer to it as the elephant ears, but there's almost like a cup sitting on the roof of it, and you'll see to the north two stacks that are skinnier and almost side by side. That's ArcelorMittal Dofasco's basic oxygen furnace. And oftentimes, if you're out here stack watching, you'll see particulate emissions coming out of that hood on the roof of the basic oxygen furnace. Sometimes the emissions are a rusty color, so it means there's lots of iron oxide in the particulate coming out. And other times it looks almost dark gray. And the emissions, from what we understand, are happening when there's a ladle pour happening within the basic oxygen furnace. So if you imagine, we've done tours of the plant, and if you imagine what looks like a giant witch's cauldron full of molten iron, they hit a point in the process where it gets poured to make steel slabs. And that pouring process can be challenging. And so there are all kinds of pollution control systems designed to capture any emissions that come off during the pour, but they don't often get captured fully. And there has been, it feels to us like a chronic problem with emissions from the hood of the plant. So that's one issue that's definitely worth watching out for and documenting if you see anything happening there. Now, immediately in front of us, you'll see this is a facility called Parrish and Heimbecker, and they are a newer addition to Hamilton's waterfront, and they're part of this growth in the agri-industrial sector in the city. Parrish and Heimbecker now has, and if you look to the south of their property, you see sort of boxy structures. They now have a flour milling operation, and they do a lot of grain movement. So immediately in front of us, some people call these the two boobs, but they're two grain storage mounds. And then immediately north of them, you'll see kind of hanging. It's a yellow-looking piece of equipment, and that's a high-tech loading arm. So there's lots of loading and unloading of grain onto and off of ships down in this area. You may be looking right now at a ship being loaded, for instance. And we do know that there have been issues down here with particulate emissions particularly during the loading process. We've had community members raise this issue with us, so be sure to watch for that. You'll often see it as a massive white cloud of particulate pollution, and you'll know it's particulate pollution because it'll kind of linger over the area. And if you're seeing it around that ship, that's what it is for sure. It's dust from the grain. And you may think, oh, what's the big deal if it's grain? That's not harmful. But it can be. The reality is that finer particulate, particularly if it's respirable particulate, and when we say respirable, that means it's particulate that's 2.5 microns in diameter or smaller. It's so small we can't see it with the naked eye, but it often is mixed in with larger particles that we can see. And the problem is that we breathe those particles in, and our lungs have a really hard time getting them back out. PM 2.5 is recognized as a cause of lung cancer in humans, so you really want to prevent human exposure to fine respirable particulate pollution.
That's all for episode 6. Feel free to move to the left of the landing and press play for episode 7.